not sure. Okay, so for the sake of people who joined again, so what we were discussing is about homework. Okay, so we had a couple of folks who uploaded the homework in a wrong way, like we were not able to grade or mark because the homework was not is uploaded as an image, so we couldn't read the code, or the collab link is missing, so we couldn't do that evaluations. So what we want is like you do all your coding in collab, copy the code, copy the output, and paste it as it is. Okay, like right click, copy and paste. It should be pasted as a text, okay, not as an image. So also share your collab link, like you go to your right click properties, and let me show you that, so that would be easier. So here, right, so I have written this code, right, whatever the code is. Okay, so you copy the whole cell like this. Okay, you right click and copy cell. Here it is, right? So once you do this copy cell, it will copy as a text pad. Okay, so now what you do is open a Word document. Again, not a collab link. Open a Word doc. So like this, when you paste, I need this as a text, not as an image. So make sure you're not pasting it as an image, as a text. So this would be your code. Similarly, once there is an output, you could, whatever output is here, you could again right click, copy. Okay, when you do Control C or right click and copy, do that and go to Word again. Now paste it. Okay, so this way I'll have both your code as well as your output in the program. Now, also what I need is the collab link. So how do you share? File, where it is? Here, right? So you have this share link in the right corner. If you didn't get to see, I'll show you again. So in the top corner, you have something called share. Click it, okay? Click that share link. You will get this properties window. So here, make sure you're giving anyone with the link, and then do a copy link, okay? Now you go back to your Word document and paste it. I'll have this collab link. So now convert this document to PDF and upload it, okay? So this collab link will help us, it will take us to your collab link, and we will be able to run the code and see the output and then upload, regrade it. This will make our life easier. So that's the reason we need this. We're asking again for this output code is in case if something goes wrong, we'll have that as backup. But having an image does not help, okay? So we'll talk about homework again at the end of the class, so we'll park it for now. Is everyone there? Okay, so we'll start the session with a quick quiz. Let me show you how to take that quiz. So is everyone ready? So we'll just do a quiz first, then we'll do a recap, and then we'll go on to this today's session. All right.
Nadhiya, can you ask them to turn on the camera before taking the quiz? Everybody turn on the camera.
Can you guys, okay, while I'm pulling up the quiz, can you guys turn on your camera, please? So the quiz is published, right? So
yes.
Okay. So log into Agora Math Circle website. So everybody turn on your camera, log into Agora Math Circle website, agoramathcircle.org. Then go to this tab, update score. Can you guys see me? Sorry, can you guys see the screen? So once you log into your Agora Math Circle, the same place where you upload your homework, where you download the class materials, there would be this tab called update score. So go to that tab, okay? So for you all, it should be defaulted to this engineering circle, introduction to data science. If not, choose the session as fall session 2. This is all defaulted, but still quiz. And you would see here, there is a question, okay? So before going here, go to your class material. There is this quiz, right? Click on this quiz and download your quiz. I'll show it on the screen if you guys need it. Like I'll be presenting this here, so you could look at there too. But if you need individual references, just click here, download this quiz. Is everybody downloaded the quiz? Yes, no.
I don't have the quiz in my class material.
You don't have the quiz in the class material. Can you refresh it? It's published. Can you refresh it?
Just to make sure, so the first question is the symbol marks the beginning of a comment in Python, right?
Correct, that's a question, yes.
Okay.
So for those of you who have already questions, like you could go there, get the question, then go here, update score. And for those questions, choose the answer here, okay? So go here and just choose the answer, whichever is answer. Once you are done with all 10 questions, click on submit, okay? So for those of you who are having trouble, is anyone having trouble accessing quiz? I'm going to show the quiz questions here. You could see the quiz questions from here and go back to your tab and answer it. So anyone else having issues? So I'm not seeing many cameras either. So please turn on your cameras.
Can you repeat one more time how to access the quiz?
Okay, so go here. Do you want the quiz? To get the quiz questions, go here to class material. Here you should see the quiz one, description as quiz, view or print. Once you do that, the question will get downloaded. So once you have that question, go to update score and choose your introduction to data science class if you have multiple classes. Then put in your answers here. Once you give all your answers like A, B, C, whatever is the answers, then click on submit. So anyone else having quiz issues? So we'll give like, I think 5 minutes. So once you are done, so at 12:45, the window will be taken down, okay? So everyone giving quiz, I hope no one is having issues. I'm taking that as an yes. If you have any problems, speak up. Unmute and speak up, okay? That will be easiest way. Okay, I don't see many cameras. So I hope you guys are not Googling, right? Okay, I'm showing the quiz questions on the screen too. If you guys have any issues, you could see here too.
Also, Nadhiya, they posted the URL in the chat window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ignore the E. If there is no E on the question, just please ignore. So that's the same template is used for other questions too. So.
How long do we have for this quiz?
5 minutes. But if you logged in late, I understand, but I think it's been going on for some time now. Okay. Once you're finished, please don't post any answers on the chat window, okay? Where is the question paper? I am present, Shravan, I am presenting the question paper on the screen, or you could go to Agro Math Circle, go to your class material, and you could see the quiz question there. Look at the description quiz and do a view. It will download, then come back here, update score, and choose the student name as like Introduction to Data Science. Then you will get this answer sheet. Okay, put in your questions and submit. The PDF is also, the link is also posted on the chat window. Are you okay, Seven? Cool, okay. Okay, so
Wait, I'm
you have
going
to submit. Once you're done answering these questions, like once you've finished all 10, click on submit. Okay. So once you're finished all 10, click on the submit button. So that will tell you your score. Okay. Someone has a question. What's that? Did someone? I think someone asked something. I didn't
Oh
hear.
no, I wasn't gonna say anything. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. So everyone done? Anyone still doing?
Yeah, I'm just submitting.
Okay. Okay. So we'll give like 2 more minutes since this is our first quiz. I'll give you extra time. So every week we'll start with this quiz, and quiz counts towards your the total marks. Okay, so don't miss the classes. Rohan, okay, so we are doing quiz questions, Rohan. So I don't know how far you were. So you did not hear anything at all? Rohan, can you unmute and talk, please? It would be easier. So we are doing the quiz. So if you go to Agora Math Circle, and so there is this PDF question. I'll post the link. Okay. So go to your login to Agora Math Circle on the update scores screen. Come here, choose Introduction to Data Science. You will get this answer sheet. Mark your answers here and submit. Okay. So except for Rohan, is everyone else completed? Done? Anyone still doing?
Yes, 1 second.
Okay.
Just submitting it.
Okay. Okay, guys. So time up. Everyone else done? Okay. I take that as an S. So let's go into today's session. So do you want to discuss this questions? We will do it at the end. Okay, we'll take a minute and because I know you folks who have joined late are doing it now. So we'll discuss the answers at the end of the session for now. I'll park it. So let's get on with today's session. Everybody ready? So we'll do a quick recap. So can someone tell me like what did we cover last week? A quick overview. Who can give me an overview? Or just a summary of what we did? Anyone?
We went over the basics of Python.
Okay. Good. What else did we go last week?
We went over loops. We also
Okay.
went over if and while statements and nested loops and variables.
We also went over input and
All right. So
We
that's
learned
it. So,
operations.
sorry, go ahead.
We learned operations.
Okay, cool. So we learned about Python, so how the basic Python programming looks, and we learned about variables, right? We learned how a variable can look and how we can name a variable. Can Sukirta, can you tell me what one rule for naming a Python variable?
It can't start with a number.
Super. Okay. And so we also learned about operators, right? So we have how many different operators do we have? Let me ask Kavin, can you tell me how many different operators we have, or can you name a few operators?
Yeah, there's modulus, there's exponential,
Mhm.
there's addition, subtraction, then
Okay.
there's multiplication, then there's division, there's also floor division.
Okay, cool. So we learned about arithmetic operators, assignment, comparison, and all. So logical operations and everything. Okay. Then we went and learned about if else. Prince Rohatki, can you tell me what type of if statements do we have in Python? Prince, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what type of if statements do we have in Python?
What do you mean by what type of if statements?
Yeah, okay, what is the syntax for if?
Oh, like if
Mhm.
something happens, then do this, or elif this happens, do this, or else like none of those two happen, then do something.
Okay, good. So we have if, or we have if else, or we have if elif. Okay, that's right. Thank you. And Aditya, so what? Can you give an example for for loop? Aditya in the class.
Yeah. Can you say that again?
Can you tell the syntax for for?
So you could have the for loop, and
Mhm.
then you'll have the range, and then it'll run as long as the thing is like true, and then it keeps going for like it keeps going until you want it to like stop. So you could do that for like a set number of loops.
Okay, so you do for, then the variable, then that in or whatever, right?
Yeah,
So you can
kind of.
also do it using range. So range will be it will give you an automatic iterable, right? So it'll open for you like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good job. So we also learned about while loop, and we also learned about nested loop, how we can have a loop inside a loop. Okay. So that's what we learned in last classes. So why I asked that is, so we are going to continue to build on top of it. So whatever we are going to learn today will be an enhanced version of what we studied last week. Okay, so having said that, so let's go into session 2. So we did our quiz today already. And so we learned about introduction to Python programming last week. So this week we are going to talk about data types. So what are data types and some types of collections? So we are going to talk about that in today's class. So data types. So we talked about variables, right? So we said a variable can be this, a variable can be that. It could store different types of data types. We talked about that. So, but actually, what is a data type? So a data type is nothing but what do you call it? It defines what type of value a variable is going to store, right? So we could assign number, we could assign string, we could do anything with the variables, right? But we have a set defined data types in our system that tells what a program or what a variable can be done with or without. So in other words, how you would tell us, data type is nothing but an object. Okay, so it tells you what type of variable your data type is going to store. So if it's a number, you could only do these many activities. If it's a string, you could do these functions with it. So depending on what type of a variable it is, it defines if you can do what type of mathematical, relational, or logical operations we can do on a data type without having any errors or anything. So it's a type of data that's stored in a computer memory, right? So when you assign a variable and you tell a variable is X, so the memory allocates, system allocates some space to it, right? So it also tells you how big of a space you have to allocate. So if it's an integer, what format it expects. If it's a string, what format the system has to store data in it. So all this is defined with respect to what type of data it is. So in Python, we have these many type of data types. So we have numbers, we have Boolean, we have set, we have dictionary, sequence. So these are the 5 broad classifications. So in numbers, we have integer, float, and complex variables. In the sequence, we have string, list, and tuple. So we'll talk about all these data types one by one. Okay, so for a high level or a broad range of things, this is how the data type is classified. So first we'll talk about Python numbers. Okay, so in what is a number? Anyone? What is a number? No answer.
Value.
Sorry.
A numerical value.
A numerical value, correct. So the Python numbers are classified as 3 types in Python. Okay, it talks about integers. So integers is nothing but the whole numbers, right, without any decimal points. It can be a positive integer, it can be a negative integer. Then we talk about floating point numbers. So floating point numbers is nothing but the one that has decimal values to it, right? So it can be a positive number, again, it can be a negative number. Then we also have complex numbers. So complex numbers are nothing but the one that we have, the complex integer. Okay. So how do you tell system? So now you know in integer what is floating point in a mathematical value, right? So in math, as soon as you see a number with a decimal, you know it's a floating point, right? So our human eyes recognizes what it is. But to the system, how would you tell it's an integer or a float? Okay. In other languages, say if you talk about C or C++ or other Java, I may be wrong too, but so you have to explicitly tell. So the moment you tell A equal to 5, right, you have to tell what type of variable A is. You have to tell integer A equal to 5. So only then the system will know you're talking about the value A, variable A is an integer. But in Python, you don't have to tell it because Python, it knows by itself. It will actually, based upon the value it is getting stored, it knows what type of data type it is. So it's that cool about Python. You don't have to explicitly tell. But for the sake of our understanding, right? So this A equal to 5 is nothing but an integer. So if you see here, right, I've used something called type of A. So for you to know what type of variable it is, so Python has a delivered function called type function. So when you give type of, then you give whatever variable you want to test, it will tell you what variable it is. See, I said print A is, so here if you see, it says 5 is of type class int. So the system tells you it is an integer. Similarly, 2.0, so since there's a decimal, it will tell you it's a float. So it's 1 plus 2j, it's a complex number, so it will tell you a complex number. So this is how 3 different numbers are stored in Python. I'll show you how to, sorry. Let me, 1 second, guys. I'm just going to open the collab link. Just a second. Oh, I already have it here. Okay, so sorry about that. So in numbers, we have integers, floating points, and complex numbers, right? So let's talk about strings, then I'll show and collab all together. Okay, so we also have talked about strings in the last class itself, right? So what are strings? Strings is nothing but a set of characters, as a sequence of characters or letters or anything. It can be anything, right? So it's nothing but a sequence of letters or characters attached together. So how the system knows whether the string is based upon this double quotes? So for a string, you have to enclose that within a double quotes or a single quotes. So we have seen this in the last class as well. So a string can be represented using a double quote or a single quote at the both ends. For multi-line strings, you use this format. You start this with similar to comments. So for multi-line strings, you start with 3 quotes, then you end it with 3 quotes. So now the system knows this whole A is nothing but in this format. Welcome to then AEC in the next line and strings in the next line. So this is together a string. So this is how you define a string, a multi-line string. Okay. So let's see an example how to do that. Like I said, so when you tell A equal to 5, the system knows this is already an integer. Okay. For integer, we don't give a double quote or a triple quote or anything. Okay. But if it's a character, you'll tell it with in a double quote, or you could tell it in a single quote. Okay. So if you want to know, I don't know why you need it, but say for any evaluations or for any logical calculations, you want to know what type of variable it is, then you do type. So if you tell type of A, tell me what type of data is A, it will just tell you it's an integer. So that's how this, like what type of data type it is. I don't see any purpose for now, but just know that you could find what type of integer a variable is by using this type function. So similarly for multi-line strings, you'll have to just give either triple quotes, 3 single quotes like this, right? So the system will print it in the same format. Okay, so it takes a whole value as a multi-line string characters. So in many times, right, like when you do an output, right, so far, like in the last class and everything, whatever you did, right, how you showed the values, you always have shown like this. So print A, that's all. So what if you want to format the numbers, right? It's not always you would want to show it in the same way, right? There are cases where you would want to print a number in a different way, right? So formatting. So formatting of integer. We are going to talk about that now. So what is formatting? So in some cases, right, you'll want to print a score sheet of everyone, right? So you want to show it's like your marks are like 85%. In some cases, you want like you are doing a grocery program, okay? So in that, you want to just round up the decimal. So you want the numbers to be rounded to 2 decimals. You don't want to round it to like 5 or 6 decimals. So in that cases, those are all called formatting of numbers. So formatting of integers. So one way to format is, so I'll give a number like this, okay? So a print. So to format the integer, the function is format, okay? The format, here you give the number which you want to format, and here you give the format specifier. What is format specifier? Nothing but here you define how exactly your number has to be formatted. So let's give an example. So I'll take this number 98567, okay? Now in this format specifier, I'll have to tell D, because you'll have to explicitly tell which data type you are formatting. If it is an integer, you'll have to use the word D, okay? For string, I'll come to string when later, okay? For now, for integer, you always use the word D in it, okay? So now I'm telling I need a comma. I want this number to be formatted with a comma in every hundreds, okay? So now if I print it, so format. So the number now is displayed in this format, okay? 98, a comma, 465, comma, and then 123. So now I asked for a comma, it to be comma separated, and now the integers are formatted as such, okay? Say, for example, you want to print a number in different spaces, okay? Like, for example, I wanted the number to be like this 1. I want the next digit to be here, next digit to be here, and the next digit to be here. For some reasons, okay? Like you want to print a number at a certain specified width, whatever your need is, okay? So if I need the spaces here, how do I do that, right? So for that, what you do is,
Excuse me.
Mhm.
For the print formatting, I tried putting the print format number and a comma D, but it says it's an unexpected indent error.
Where did you start your print?
I started my print in the beginning.
Okay. Can you post it on the chat, like how yours looks like?
Oh, now it worked. I accidentally put a space bar before the print, so.
See, so it says intention, right? So it clearly tells you there's something before this print. Okay. So what are we talking about? So we're talking about printing this number at a different spaces, right? So now I say print is at 1G. So when you tell this number, right, 1, 2, so these numbers before this 2 tells at what width your number has to be placed. So it tells print 1, but after a 3 space of it. So if we run this now, see, so it prints at a defined space. This is useful in cases, right? So like you have in your grocery list, right? Your grocery receipt. So though the items vary, but all your numbers will be at a defined width. How many of you have seen it? Like it will be all at the right corner, like no matter what the number is, all the decimals will be in one line and the numbers will grow, it will be like in that format. So how do you do that here? So this is here, how you do that. So this says like you print this number at a defined width. So the number will automatically adjust accordingly and it will print in the spaces. So this is useful when you want to format your output. Okay. So you could do one, if I do 10, same thing, if I do like 10, 11 and 12, right? So it's gonna take that many number of spaces and print. So this is now, if the one is now printed at a defined space of 10. So now it takes 11 and then prints it. Now it prints at the 12th space. So that's how this number formatting is. So it's more of how you display the output, okay, for numbers. Similarly for floating point numbers. So what are floating point numbers? Floating point numbers can be a negative number or a positive number, but with a decimal value. So it has like 7, 8, 9, 6. Okay. So with floating point numbers, often the scenario would be to round. You want it to be rounded to 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, and so on, right? So in that case, what you do is, the first thing, to tell the system it is a floating point number, you have to use this word f. So here you used a d, right? But here you'll have to use a f. So that's how you're telling, you're formatting a floating number. That's how you're telling a system that, hey, what I'm formatting is a floating number. So let me copy this and hold it here. So now this is a floating point number. So I'm just telling the system this is an f, it's a floating point number. Then I want it to be rounded to 2 decimals. So I'm telling after the decimal, it's 2, right? I say 0.2 here. So 0.2 floating means format this number as 0.2 floating number. Clear? Anyone has any questions? So here, so it rounded, right? So 7, 8, 9, 5 is rounded. When it rounded, it's 7, 9. So this is one format to round. You could round it to 2 decimal. If you need it for rounded to 5 decimals, you could do that too. Okay, this is how you format for a fixed number of decimal places. Similarly, if you, yes, someone has a question?
Yeah, I had a question. So if you want to format the decimals, and if you wanted to format the number before the decimal, what would you have to put? Like,
so if you have to format the number before with the comma, correct? So now you tell
decimal.
Comma. So here you tell comma, right? So
Yeah.
I'm telling format these numbers with the comma separator, and after decimal format round it off to 5 decimals. So now if you print, it's formatted like this: 12, 2, 3, whatever. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, but 1 second. So we have to place another comma before the point number, correct?
Yes. Before the point, you place a comma. Oh, is it so small? Can you see now? But
Yeah, I can see it now.
okay. So here. So if you just say 0.5, you're telling you're formatting whatever, like after decimal, you're telling format it to 5. Now, if you tell comma and point, you're telling before this whole number part of it, format it using a comma. Then for the decimal part of it, I need 5 places.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. So in some cases, we would want a percentage too, right? So I'm telling, print, you want the number to be like, you want the output to show like 85%. Say I give you a homework, calculate the total score. I'm giving you like 3 scores and I'm telling, calculate and show me the percentage of marks you have scored. So for percentage, you don't use decimals and all, right? You always show something like this, 85%. You want this percent number in the output. So what do is print format. Say I have scored 0.85, right? So I want this to be shown in percentage. I just tell that's it. So I just tell percent. When I tell percent, now this number will be printed in the format of percentage. But since I did not tell how many decimal places, I didn't give any, what do you call it? I didn't tell the system what to do with the decimal. So it printed all the decimals, like up to 5 digits, it printed it. So now I don't want this. I just need it like this, 85%. So what I tell is, I tell 0.0. I don't want any decimal numbers afterwards. Clear? So even here. So when you give 0.0, there is no decimal places. There is no decimal values that will get displayed. So you concatenate, you trunc that. And then it just gives you a percent of it. So how is 0.85 returning as 85% is? So when this number gets formatted, this number gets multiplied by 100 by itself. Okay, if you just tell 85 and format is at percentage, you'll get 8,500 percentage. So the conversion of percentage happens by converting this number by 100. So have that in mind. So only if you give 0.85 or 0.5, it multiplies by 500 and then, multiplies by 100, then it tells you it's 50%. Okay, so the multiplication of 100 happens every time when you convert it to a percent. So have that in mind. Okay, so this is how you format a number and a floating number. So formatting of strings we have actually already seen, right? Formatting of string is very easy. We have seen many examples in the last class itself. So you give a string ABC, and then what format you want to do here? Nothing, right? If you want to print a space, all you do is just add a space or add a star. So you just do a concatenation of operators. You just do this and the system will print it like this. Okay, so whatever you tell here, print here, whatever you tell as a comma, it just gets printed. So string concatenation is up to you. There is no fixed or no specified way of doing it. So you could just do whatever you want to do. So if I do like this, right? Comma X, if I give like this, it's going to print here 5. One thing you could do with the concatenation, okay? So if you see, right, though I'm giving a comma, it's printing an extra spaces here, correct? By default, between every variable, there is a space. So to be easier, I'll do this. So I'm just giving this 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. The system prints like this, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Though I did not give any spaces, the system is giving a space by default. What if you want to remove a space? There is some scenario or like some cases where you say like I need to remove the space. I want the output to be like this. I want it like this. How would you do it? You did not give the space. System automatically gave the space. So to remove that, we have an additional operator called separator. Okay, you just tell separator equal to. You just tell nothing. Don't separate. It's a blank value. I didn't give a space here. Okay, I just said blank. So now what the system will do is it will just remove all the spaces. It will print all the variables together without any space. So if you want in this format, how would you do it? So you could just tell here star. So now what happens? So every variable will be printed with an extra star in between. So this can be star, extra, yes, whatever you give, that would become the separator between every variable. Okay, so this is how you give it. Separator equal to null, or you could give any value, whatever you like. At the end, after you finish all your print statement, the separator has to come at the very end. So now the system knows this is the separator between every element. Any questions so far? So we know we learned about numbers, floating point numbers, strings, and how to format them. Clear? So these are very basic ones. So I'm not going in depth because there is not. These are all like very basic. Like it's similar to math and how you displace difference. So I've shown the formatting here. So any question, I'll pass on for a minute.
Oh wait, between each string, don't we normally use a plus sign?
You could do that. You could do that too.
Mm-hmm.
So that is called concatenation of strings, right? So when you do a plus, it will work too, okay? What happened? Okay. Right? It will work if it's as long as you are trying to print only 2 strings. So now if you want to print a number, right? 5 is a number. So when you do plus 5, this is going to throw error because this is the plus is a concatenation symbol. Concatenation can happen only between 2 integer, between strings, but 5 is an integer. So in this case, you will have to make like string of 5. You'll have to do that. You're converting that to a 5, and you could do that. But another way to do is just a comma. Comma is nothing but you are printing set of elements. When you tell comma, you're telling the system to print this first, then this, then this. So it's nothing but a different elements you are printing. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah. So, can you just like wait for like 1 second because I'm just trying to copy it on my collaborator.
You are trying to copy this one, what I showed here?
Yeah.
Okay. So these, okay, you could copy, but we have this in the class material. You have this too. So there'll be lecture notes that will be there too.
Oh, wait, so if you use commas when you're printing that, so you can use an integer and a string in the same
Yes.
parentheses code.
Yes. So I'm going to add this, right? So because as long as print is concerned, it's just printing these set of elements or set of variables, set of numbers, whatever. It doesn't mind if it's integer or character or string. It will print what is in there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the next one we have is we are going to learn about this Boolean. So I think we have touched about this Boolean earlier itself, right, in the if statement itself. So whenever an expression is evaluated with respect to Boolean, you get two types of results. One is true, another one is false. So Boolean can either be, like after a statement is evaluated, you get a true or a false. So this true and false is called as a Boolean. Okay. So when you get one or the other answer, based on that, you can do whatever you want to do. Say, like, for example, how do you know this? So I'll just tell you, print 5 greater than 2. So what's going to happen? It's just going to tell you if it's true or false. So it just evaluates and gives a value for you. Is 5 greater than 2? Yes, true. Is 5 less than 2? No, false. So you're just going to get this output. So whatever you evaluate here, you will get a true or a false based on this. This is what we use in our if statement. So we tell if 5 greater than 2, we just said that, right? So as long as system is concerned, this is a Boolean operation. It will evaluate this, and if it's true, it will do one thing. If it's false, it will do something else. So this is Boolean. Okay, it's a plain true or false statements of an expression. Okay, so the next one we have is date time. Actually, date time is not a data type as such. Like if I have seen my first initial picture, right? So date time is not there. But in programming, right, most of the time we deal with this date times. You sometimes have to get what time it is, what date it is from the user, or sometimes you have to display, hey, at this in your receipt, the same grocery example, right? You list your date time there, when this was purchased, when the transaction was made. So we often use this date time thing. So depending on which language we are talking about, in some languages, the date time conversion and everything has to be explicit, meaning you have to manually code it. But in some languages, they give you something called as library or a set of delivered functions. So wherein you just import it, you use it. So everything is in there. All you have to do is use that method for you to do your calculations. So in Python, we have something called as datetime. Okay, we have a module called datetime. So they have done all the basic calculations, or what do you call it, all the programming behind it, and they have masked it, and they just say that, hey, import this function, import this module in your code, then just do whatever you want to do. So this datetime module will have a set of set of methods or methods. Okay, so you just use that method to format your datetime. So if you're going to format datetime, if you're going to work in your program, you're going to do datetime calculations, you have to do, this has to be your first statement in your program. Okay, this import datetime is the first statement. Now you tell, I want to print the current time now. What's the current time now? I have to print that. So what do you tell is, so this is a date time, right? So we have to call this module dot date time is a function that I'm going to import. Then, so date time is the object. Now you're going to tell now. So what is now? Now is nothing but it's a function that will actually tell you to display the current date time. Okay, I have to print it for you guys to see. Okay. So what it is, so datetime is the module that I'm importing, and this is the object that I'm gonna do it. And now is nothing. This is the class, and this is the method. So now is the method which will give you a datetime function. Okay. So similarly, you could do. So in this datetime, right? So if you see the output, this is the year, this is the month, this is the date, and 17 is what? I think that's the hour, and that's the minute, second, and then this is the milliseconds. So now, based on your need, right? Based on your programming need, you could print whatever you want to. So now x dot year will just print the year value here. So now what you did is you got the current time and stored it in this variable x. Now x dot year will just bring you the year. You're telling the system to just print the year. Similarly, if you want, you could just print the month. And so on. So month is 8. So it will just print it for you. Let me show it here. This is the example, right? So I got the date time now here in this variable, and I'm telling print year. So year is, you'll get the year here, you'll get the month, a dot hour will give you the hour, a dot minute or a dot timestamp will just give you the whole converted format of timestamp. So these are all predefined functions or like objects. You can call it, these are called as methods. So these are all something delivered within Python, so which you just have to remember to use it in your programs. So there is two things that you could do in a datetime, right? So one thing is user input. You get the date from the user and pass it to your program. The second thing is you display the time in a certain format. So there is two actions that can happen with the datetime. So that is where this formatting comes in. There is two delivered functions like this. So one is strf time, the other one is strp time. So what's the difference is this strf time actually converts the data, converts the date to a string. Okay, so it converts a date object to a string. So here, if you tell like you got this x, then you're telling strf time percentage a, it prints the current date, current day, right? So if you run the program today, you will get it as Saturday. Then percentage small a, it's a short name. So it will print just the Q of SATMON of that. Or if you give percentage W, it will print the weekday of the number. So these are all some delivered functions that is there in Python, which you can use to format the data. So you don't have to remember. So if you see in the lecture notes, I have given all the codes that we have in the system that you could use. Okay, so percentage M will give you minute, percentage small m, percentage F will give you microseconds. If you give percentage P, you will get a AM or a PM. So depending on how exactly you want to show the date or time as an output on the system, you use this variable, the percentage A or W, whatever, right? So you change it and your output will be displayed accordingly. Clear so far?
Yeah,
There's
one
a function, so you use it only then you will get used to it. Yes, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, sorry for interrupting. No, I understand the date time. This is just a question from previously. So I can't find the format in the lecture notes, like how you did on the collab. So could you go back to the collab just so I can?
Okay, for the format, I'll look into it and I'll send it over. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing it up, but I'll just add it up. Okay. So any questions on datetime? Okay. So the second thing we have is strp time, right? So what this does is it gets the string, whatever string you pass it on, this will convert the string to a date. Okay. So here in this case, I'm passing the values here. I'm telling 9, 23, 230. That doesn't 2030. That doesn't mean anything to the system, correct? So it's just string. It's just the numbers within an enclosure. But after followed by that, I'm telling it's percentage M, percentage D, Y, H, and M. Meaning I'm telling 9 is the month, 23 is the date, 2030 is the year, and 8 is the hour, and 28 is a minute. So I'm telling what I am passing exactly to the system. If I just pass this first variable, system will not, it will just take it as a string. The moment you give the second format and use this step type function, so now the system will actually understand this is a date, and this value y will now hold a date variable. Okay. So now if you see the output, this is now formatted exactly as a date parameter in Python. So that's how you convert a date to a string, or a string to a date, or vice versa. Okay. So like I said again, so if you see the lecture notes, you will see all those, what is M for, D for, Y, HM, and furthermore list in that lecture notes. So take a look, make yourself familiar with it. So we'll be using this in our upcoming programming. Okay. So these are some basic data types that we have seen, right? So we saw about integer, float, we saw about this complex number. We also saw a bit about a string. So there is, and we also saw about Boolean, right? So we have 4 more left. So we have set, we have dictionary, we have list, and we have tuple. So all these are called collections in collection data types, meaning they can hold a set of collections of data together. Like numbers, it will be just a plain simple number, right? So string, it's just a string. But the set, dictionary, list, tuple, you could store a different type of data types together. You could store it as a collection. Say you have like 12 people in your class. You want to store all the scores of them in one set. You cannot do that with a normal variable, right? You'll have to assign like variable A is equal to student 1, B is equal to student 2. You will do that. But in collections, you could store everything together in a one variable itself. I'll just call it variable for now. Okay. So you could store multiple collection, you could store multiple data together in a different format ways, or in different ways, different sequencing. So that is called as collections. Okay. So we have 4 major different types of collections in Python. So they are nothing but list, tuple, set, and dictionary. So what is list? So in today's class, we will talk about list. Okay, so the rest 3 we will be covering up in next session. So for now, for today's class, we'll talk about list. Okay, so list are nothing but it's similar to array. If you know C++ or C or in other languages, right? So we have something called as array. Okay, where you store a defined set of data. So in Python, we have something called as list. List is nothing but a dynamic sized arrays. Okay, in other languages. So here the list is not, it need not be homogeneous, meaning it can be anything. So that makes this a very powerful tool in Python. It can be anything, meaning you can have a list with different data types together. A list can be just have only integer, it just can have strings, it just can have objects, or it can have everything together. So a list can be of anything. Okay, it's mutable, meaning you can alter it even after their creation. So say at the beginning you thought, okay, this class is going to be 5 people, so you defined the list of 5. Okay, then at the end, before the classes begin and something changed, and you have like 3 new more additions. So in some languages, you will have to drop the whole list, whole array, and then recreate the array, saying, okay, now the number is 8. Now I drop the whole definition and then recreate the definition. But in Python, you don't have to do that. You tell first list is 5, then you could add on. You just keep add 6, 7, 8. It will just allow you to do that. Okay. Then in Python, the lists are ordered, meaning it stores every single variable in a set defined order. Okay. Score 1 goes in first place, score 2 in second, score 3 in third. So it has a defined order of elements. So you can always fetch it up easily. So when things are ordered, right, you know where to look. Then it's very easy to retrieve. Okay, and they are indexed, meaning every list or every item or every element that you store in a list is indexed. So it will assign a value. Hey, this is your seat, sit here. This is your seat, sit here. Right. So you have your defined spacing, seating arrangement in your class. So similarly, a list will store every element in their indexed value. So if you have to access third element, you could always say index of 2 or index of 3, it will bring back whatever is stored in that element. So since it is stored indexed, it's very easy to manipulate. It's very easy to calculate or do any calculations on it. The one thing you have to remember, like similar to range, right? The first list or the first index is always 0. So the list indexing starts with a 0. Okay. And every element has a definite place. Okay. You can have duplicates because they are stored based on their indexes. You can store 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, doesn't matter. The first 2 is stored in first index, the second store is stored in second index. So since they are numbered and they are indexed, you could store it accordingly. Okay, so these are some of the characters of list. You're going to see it in detail. I just want to give a high overview of what list is. Okay, how is list created? The list is created using a square bracket. The moment you tell list equal to this open square brackets and close square brackets, you are telling the system this is an list item. Okay, so you're telling this variable now, this variable list is nothing but a actual list. Okay, so how you tell x equal to 5, now x becomes an integer, or you tell x equal to double quotes name, single quote close, then what it is? That's a string, right? Similarly, anything closed with a closed or open square bracket, close square bracket, the system will now understand this is a list. So you could just create a list as a blank one. Okay, or you could create a list as numbers. So when you tell list equal to 10, 20, 14, so what happens? So this is now a list of numbers. Or you could create a list of strings, apple, banana, cherry, separated by a comma. So now this list is nothing but a list of fruits, right? So the system stores this as a string, list of strings. Okay. So similarly, like I said before, right? List items are ordered. Why are they ordered? Because they are stored with the indexes. So they can allow duplicate values. So you could change it, you could add additional items to it, you could modify the list, you could add, you could remove, you could do anything with it after the list is created. So so it's called as mutable. Okay. So this is how it's indexed. Say for example, I have this list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So what is the index? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you see 1, for the value 1, the index is 0. Okay, the index always starts with the range of 0. The second item is 1. The third item is 2. So remember that, it's very important. How do you know how many items are there in a list? Okay. Before going there, I'll just show you how to do that. Okay, say I'm having a class name. We did this last week too, right? So class name equal to, I'm going to assign values here. So red, rose, what else? Violet, great, right? So now this is nothing but a collection of strings. So this is now a list. If you now print it, it will just print the whole value, the whole list value here. Okay, so now a list is created. So now the class name or color name, whatever you want to call it, or just name. So now a list is created, right? So like I said, this can be like this, or you could store 1, 2, A, B, even this is list. Okay, yes, Sanjeevani.
So for this one, when it says red, rose, violet, and gray, all of them have apostrophes. How do you take those away?
Use a single quote. Was that's a question, or what's the question? Sorry, maybe I forgot.
Like how do you, like if I don't want any single quote or quotes at all, just red, comma, rose, comma, violet, comma, gray?
That's not possible, right? So a string should be enclosed within a double quotes or a single quotes, correct? So
Okay,
red is string,
thank
right?
you.
So if you see here, right, if I do this, right, so it will not use a codes on 1, 2, because 1 and 2 are integers.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is how you tell, so now 1 is a string, 2 is a number. Okay. So the system will always have it with this single quotes to tell you it's a string. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we saw a list can be a different data types, right? So it's like I showed you, this is a string, this is a number, so it can be together. You can create a list within a list. Now you could tell so I'll tell you how to get the indexes, right? So now, how I said this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3, right? So if you want to access a list with an index, so how do you do is, so you tell name of 0. So this is how you access this indexes. So name of 0 is nothing but you're referring to this value 1 or in this case red. Okay. Okay, just a second. Someone has asked, can you make red, rose, violet, and gray as integers? You cannot make it as integers, right? So red is nothing but a set of characters, right? So this is nothing but a string. A number is number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are all numbers. So this A, B, C, D are nothing but strings. So you cannot convert this to that or that to this. Understood? It would throw an error. That's correct. Sorry, I was answering from the chat questions. Okay. So now what I was telling about indexes, right? So how do you access an index? Now you stored this red, rose, violet, and gray here, right? So you have stored these values here. Now you want to print. If I just print as it is, it prints me the whole name, right? If I print this name, it just prints me the whole thing. It prints all red, rose, violet, or gray. It prints you the whole, it's showing you the whole list here. But I just want to print red, okay? Then what I tell is print me the index number 0. Remember, the index always starts with 0. So the first item is 0, then it is 1, 2, and 3. So if I now print name 0, it's printing you red. Okay. If I tell print me second index, this is first index, okay? This is second index. So what am I missing here? It's going to error, right? If it's a comment, I have to give it as a. So red, rose. So now what I'm printing is I'm just printing the element. If you see, it no longer shows you this quotes here because it's just displaying. It's not printing the list as it is. It is just showing whatever is the element. So there is no quotes here. Okay. So if I have to print violet, what should I give? 2. And 3. So if there are 4 elements in a list, the range runs from 0 to 3. 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So if I now just without knowing, I'm just giving a 4, right? So it's going to error out because it's going to tell you index error. Index list is index out of range. It's telling it's out of range, meaning I'm asking it to print a 4th index. So here I have 0, 1, 2, 3. I don't have a 4th one. So I'm printing something which does not exist. It's not there in the system at all. So it's going to show me an error. It's throwing me this list index out of range error. So this is how you access the elements. So you tell name of 0. It can be anything. So you give the list name, open bracket, square bracket, then you give the index number. Okay. So the format is list name, open bracket, then index number. So once this is the format to display a particular range of item. Okay. What if you want to access this index from the backside, like from the backwards, reverse the indexes? That means this is -1, this is -2, this is -3, this is -4. So from the back, this index is nothing but -1. Okay, so to print the same order, then if I tell print name of -1, it's going to print me gray because the last element is gray. The minus tells you're accessing the first element from the back. Okay, if you tell -2, it's going to print violet. So if you tell -4, it's going to print red. Is that clear? So the index starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, and it goes on. From the back, it starts at -1 and comes until how many ever elements it's there in the system. Any questions so far how to access the index?
I have a question. If you wanted to print red and rose in the same line in the output, how would you do it?
Okay, I'm coming there. I'll show you how to print a range. Okay, just a second. Any questions so far? How to access the index from the beginning and from the end? Okay, so to answer your question, okay. So these are all called range of indexes. Okay, so what is called range of indexes? If you want to print a particular series of elements. See, since it is 4, right? So we had only like 4 elements here. So we are telling, okay, name 0, name 1, name 2, name 3, and etc. If there are like 1,000 elements, but you want to print in a particular range, you want to print from like 10 to 11 or like from 100 to 200 elements. So if you want to just access those particular index values, so we use something called as range. Okay, so range, how you do a similar way. You give the list name, open square brackets, close square brackets. So inside of that, you tell I want to print index from 0 to 1. Okay, so this is the starting of the index. Okay, it will start from this value, 0th index, and it will print until this. Okay, why I'm telling until is because it will not print this first index, it will print up to this index. So if I give 3, right, so it will print 0, 1, 2 till the 3rd index. It will print this is not included. Okay, 3 is not included. It will print until that element. 3 is not included, so always remember that. So it's got to print 0, 1, 2. It did not print the 3rd index. Okay, so if you need to print only until red and rose, so you have to give name 0, 2. So it's nothing but red and rose. Okay, or if I give same thing. Is that clear? So similarly, okay. Similarly, if you want to print from the back, right? So you want to print range of values from the back side. Simple. You just give the same format, but you tell from -1 until -3. So what happened? Why it did not print? What did I do wrong?
The second one has negative values.
Because this is the start of the index, right? So I have to give the start of the index as from where I have to begin.
You have to print it from -3 to -1 because in the array, -3 is before -1.
Exactly. So you have to do this for you to print from the reverse. Okay. So you could print an index, you could access the index with 0 or -1 from the front and back. For the same, similarly for the range, you could either start from 0 to 2 or you could print it from the back to end, because this is the start of the index and it is the end of the index. Okay, so this is how you access, you extract the value from the index or from the list. So we'll have one more. Okay, everyone back. So 55. So far we have just seen about list, right? So how to create a list and how to access a list, like how to access the elements that's stored inside of a list. So like I said, a list is mutable, right? We could change, you could add, you could remove, you could do anything with that list. But how can you do that? So programmatically, how do you do these actions is what we are going to see. Okay, so I'll show here first how to modify a list. So first one is like how to change a value. Okay, so we have red, rose, violet, and gray, right? So I want to replace this rose with another color white. How do I do that? Okay, so this color, then I tell so rose is in index 1, right? So 1. So now I say white. Okay, print. So what I'm telling is replace whatever is in the index 1, 0, 1. So replace whatever is in the index 1, replace that with the color white. That's it. So now the list will have a value red, white, violet, and gray. So you specify the list number, or you specify which index you want the color, you want the parameter to be changed, and this will get replaced. Okay. Say you could you want to change it to like from the index of 3rd to white. Now your list will look like this. Okay, this is to change only one thing. If you have to change a set of values, so when I initialized the list, I gave the colors as red, rose, violet, and gray. Okay, now I don't like it. I chose the wrong colors, and now I want to replace a set of colors. What do you do is you same thing. How do you access a range of indexes? By giving the starting index and the ending index. Correct? This is how you access the list values, right? Similarly, you specify which list you are going to change. Say I'm going to change index 1 and up until index 2. Okay, so I'm going to change the values to what color can I give? Gray, comma, so first this. Okay. So what happened? I'm still having red, rose, violet, blue. I did not print the new color. Leave this example as. Okay, guys, sorry. So what I was saying is, I'm telling replace the index 1 up until 3. So meaning it will replace index 1 and 2 with this new values gray and blue. So this is index 1, it's replaced with gray, and index 2 is now replaced with blue. Remember? Just telling. So we have this red, rose, violet, and gray. I said I want to replace this 1 up until 3. So index 1 and 2, I replaced it with gray and blue. Any questions? So I hope you guys are following, right? Okay.
We are.
Now, okay, thank you for that confirmation. So what happens if I do this, right? So I tell I want to replace 1 till 3, 1 until 4, but I just give only 2 colors. What will happen? So what happens is, so for whatever value that I don't give a value, it will be deleted from the system. Okay, if you ask the system to replace more numbers, but you just give less values, whatever is not substituted with, the system thinks this is like this. Okay, the system thinks you don't want that index, and it will remove that value. Okay, but if you give less items, say I said I'm going to replace up until 2, but I gave 2 extra items, right? Here means I'm replacing only 1 element, but I'm giving 2 items. So what happens is the system will replace this value with this, but it will add the next value afterwards. So do you guys get the difference? If you give more values than what you are replacing, the system will add it to the next index. Okay. But if you give less number of values than what you are replacing, the system will remove those index for which the value is not given. It will totally delete it. Okay. I'll just show both the differences here in the example. Let me show you. Okay, so in this case, I'm telling replace 4 with gray and blue. Here I'm telling orange. Okay, so let's see. So here what happened? Red, rose got replaced with gray, but violet got replaced with blue. For gray, I did not give any replacement value, but I asked the system to replace. So it actually replaced it with a null value, meaning it removed that element totally from the list. In the second example, I said replace 1 till 2. What does 1 till 2 means? It's nothing but index 1. So I said to replace index 1 with this value, right? So red came in, the index 1 got replaced. The rose got replaced with gray. But whatever I gave, so I gave blue, orange afterwards, extra, right? So that got appended here in between the index, and violet and gray continue to print. So the values shifted along to the right. So the new index will look like this. Any questions? So this is how you modify the list. Okay. So similarly, so this is how you replace, right? What if you simply need to append a list? You need to add more items to the list. Say I have this colored list here. So color equal to red, rose, violet, and gray, right? Now I need to add more elements. I don't want anything to be replaced. I just need to keep it as it is, but I want the list to go on. I want to add 4 more items to it. So you could do it using 3 methods, okay? So the addition of lists. So the add list you could do using 3 methods: append, insert, or extend. What does append do is append inserts the element at the very end of the list. See, in the example I had apple, banana, cherry, I asked the system to append orange. So what, I didn't give any index. I didn't tell what index number. I didn't specify a range either. I just simply said this list dot append of orange. So what the system did is it added orange to the end of the list. Okay. So what does insert do? If you want to add elements at a particular index, say I had Ram, Kirtana, and then I had somebody else. Now I want someone else in the 3rd position. Okay, I want to insert an element at a specified index. You use this function. So you just tell the index in the beginning. You tell insert 1, orange. So I'm telling insert orange at the first index. Okay, so now this list becomes apple, orange, banana, and cherry. Okay, so extend list. What does extend do? You have 2 lists. Okay, you have list 1, say score of data science class. Then you have a list 2, score of artificial intelligence class. Now you want to add them together. You want to make them as one big list. So what do? You use this function called extend. Okay, so here if you see this list, apple, banana, cherry. Tropical is mango, pineapple, papaya. When I tell this list dot extend of tropical, what I'm telling is whatever is in tropical, add it to this list. Okay, so now the value of this list becomes apple, banana, cherry, and everything else from this list gets added at the end of the list. Okay, when you don't specify a range, the system automatically appends the list where elements at the very end. Okay, keep that in mind. So these are the 3 ways of actually adding an element. Okay, so you can use append. It simply adds an item to the end of the list. You could use insert, which inserts at a given index. Extend, it is used to add elements from another list to the current list. Okay, so now we have seen how to modify an index. We have seen how to add an elements to the index. What if you want to remove an element? You want to remove values from the list, not replace, remove it. Okay, I just want it to be gone. So you have these two methods, remove and pop. Okay, what does remove do is you just tell the value. You give the value as it is. Okay, you don't know where that banana is stored. Okay, you don't know whether banana is in index number 1 or index number 2. You don't know. So you could just simply pass that element name itself, the value itself. So here I'm telling remove banana. So in whichever position the banana is, it will just get removed from the list item. So you see, now the list has become apple and cherry. So this is how you specify a specified item. Okay, like other methods, we also can remove an element based on their index values. Okay, so when you tell pop of 1, it will remove the index 1 from the list. So here index 1 is banana. So banana is removed now. So the output is apple and cherry. If you don't give anything, you just say this list.pop, you don't specify an index range number, then system automatically deletes the last item. Okay. Similarly, how it inserts at the very end, if you don't specify a range, it will remove the last item from the list. Okay. Any questions? I have a chat question. Let me look. Can you concatenate two lists instead of using extend with the plus operator? Yes, that is called list joining. I will talk about that too. But yes, you can do that. The question is from Pranil. Okay, Pranil, you could do that. When you use plus, it's called addition, joining of list. Okay, we'll see that. Okay, so we have seen insert, modify. Now we'll remove. Then we'll talk about delete and clear. So if you want to delete the whole list itself, okay, you have created a list. How do you create a list? And a list with an open bracket and close bracket will instantiate it. It will create a list. If you want to delete it, I don't want any reference at all. I just want the delete list to be gone, right? So what do you do is, if you just give delete this list, the whole list will be deleted. But if you want to just delete an item, you could also use this del keyword. Okay, if you give that index number, it will just delete that value from the list. So delete and remove are almost the same, but if you don't give any index and you just tell del space the list name, the list will be completely deleted. If you go and query it, it will tell definition not found because the list is totally gone. But if you want to empty the list, say you have like 1,000 values in a list, you finished your calculations, you scored and everything. Now session 2 starts. I want to start scoring them new, right? I don't want the old values. So in that case, what you do is you use this clear method. Okay. So you give this list dot clear, it just clears it. Now the value is blank. If you print out, it will just be an empty list. So now you have a blank list and you can start doing whatever you want to do. So these are the operations of list: modify, addition, insertion or deletion, remove. Then you also saw clearing of the list. Okay. So copy list. So if you want to copy from one list to another list, you use a function called copy. Okay. So now what happens is, in this example, you have this list. It's apple, banana, cherry. Then you want to create another list, but copy whatever the value is in, right? So you just use that copy method. So if you use this copy method, the list gets duplicated. You will get a new, you get all the values copied. You could use copy method or you could use list of. So you could use both functions. So both way the list gets copied. Okay. So join list. So if you want to join two lists together, like I said, right, you could use an append function like how we saw in like few slides back, or you could do this plus operator. So list 1 plus list 2 makes that a copy. It joins the whole two lists together and gives you ABC 1, 2, 3. You could do it both ways. You could also do something called as extend. Okay, there's another function called extend where you tell list 1 is now an extension of list 2. So what it does is it copies over whatever the value in list 2 and puts it in list 1. These are different ways of doing it. All three is correct. Okay, nothing is wrong. So you use whichever you want to based on what you are doing in the program. Okay. So for clear, so how you can copy, how you can remove. Any questions so far? Okay. So now we'll talk about looping. So since we have a loop, now what you can do, since we have a list, right? So list is nothing but a collection of items, right? And you access them using their index ranges. So since now you know how to index it, so it's obvious you can loop through it, correct? So list is iterable, meaning you could go from one item to another item to another item. So how do you do that? You use that for loop. We have already studied this, right? So for x in this list, print x. So what happens? So now x will iterate, right? It will start from index 0 and it will iterate until cherry, and it will print every item. So it will print apple, banana, cherry. So this is for definitive list. Say if you want to do a range function, you could still do it. Did you see this length? I think I didn't show you, right? Let me show you. So here, right, you have this list. How do you know how many number of items you have in this list? How do you find out how, right? So this length function will tell you how many items this list has. So if it's 4, then you know it's 4. If there are 1,000 of items, so you use this length function, it will tell you how many items are there in this length. So now if you want to loop through this, right, I want to loop through this whole list. How do? I do for I in range. So what does range function starts with? So you give like this. I tell 4, it will print I. Sorry, what happened? So it printed, right? It prints the numbers I. Okay, it's not printing the actual element, but it's printing the number. So since I gave the range as 4, the number runs from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I tell color of I, now what I'm telling is I'm printing the value that is in this list color based on the value. So color of 0th index, 1 in the first index, second index, and third index. So it will now print red, rose, violet, and gray. Okay. This is how you tell it. So this I will loop through the actual index position. Okay. So now if I don't know the range, okay, if I don't know how many the range is, then what you do is you tell for the length of this index, sorry, for the length of this list, loop through. Okay. So I don't have to manually give 4. Now if I change this index to white, if I add an element, I don't have to change my program because I'm telling loop through all the way until the for all the length, whatever the length is of this list, just loop through and print me every value. So that's why we use this length. You don't have to hard code the values saying like 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to tell that. Okay. So I'll show you the example of, we didn't see the example for adding, right? So I'll just show you.
Just to clarify, is all going to be on the lecture notes?
Yes. Yes. All the examples are in the lecture notes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now we have this. So I need to add. So how do you add it? Can someone tell me? How do you add a value? I want to add white to this. So what's the function I have to use? Color dot append. Good. So I'm just telling add white. Yeah, let me print. So now white got added. So it by default it gets added to the end of the list. Okay. So but I want this white to be in this position. So what should I do now? If I have to add white in a particular position, what is the function I have to use?
Insert.
Insert, correct. So insert will allow you to specify which index I want to add the value. Yeah. So since I've already added white, I'll tell black. Okay. So now I'm telling add this color black in the index 1. So this is 0, this is 1. So now black will come in this position. I keep forgetting to print. Okay, so red. Now index 1 is black. Okay, so now I have, let's say, I have another index. What is it called? I have another list. Okay, this is nothing but okay, now I'm telling I want this both lists to be combined. I want to copy whatever is in this list to this list. How do you do that? So you could use dot extend, right? You could tell dot extend and give the new list name. You could do that, or you could simply tell new list equal to color plus
Name.
Color plus, what should I give? Anyone? Color plus
Name.
name. That's correct. So you could do in both ways. You could do like this, or you could do an extend method, or you can also do an append. Like you loop through and you tell append. I'll show you how to do that. What is wrong in here? Can someone tell me what went wrong? Why is this wrong? Anyone? What is wrong in this extent?
New list doesn't exist yet.
New list doesn't exist yet. That is correct. So I'm just gonna tell black. Will that work now? Correct. Because I did not define any list. I didn't give any value. I didn't create it as a blank list. So a list needs to be defined, created at the beginning for you to use it. Okay. Or you could simply use the existing list itself. If you tell color.extend name, now it will be so you could do like this, or you could do like this. So both are the same. Okay, so we have shown you multiple ways to achieve it. Like if you say add, copy, everything has like multiple ways to do it. You could use it through elements, you could use it through indexes, so you could do it in multiple ways. So I've shown you all three ways, so you don't have to do everything, but it's good to know, like in some places one versus other will be beneficial. Okay. So let's talk about this. One more thing is the looping through, right? How to loop through a list and how to print it. How to append it. I'll again copy this. So I'll create a list again, this color. Okay. I have one more list here. Name. Okay. So now what I'm telling is I'm going to use I'm going to show you how to use an append function. Okay. So in some cases, this append will be more beneficial for you to loop through list and improve. Okay. So what I do is I just tell a variable I in range. Okay. Range. So how many loops should I go through? I don't know, right? So I don't want to give it. So I just tell length of color. So in this case, what I tell is for whole, as long as the length of color is how many ever indexes the color has, loop for that many times. Okay. So now I tell name dot append. What I'm going to append? I'm going to append color of I. Print name. what went wrong.
You have to write in or between I and range.
Thank you. Okay. So print space is a syntax that's used in other language that I code daily. So that's the reason I just give print space. I keep forgetting. Sorry about that. So what happened? So I said for every element in color added to the list name. Okay. So name dot append I said. So right, left is there. So now red, rose, violet, and gray. So everything got added to this list. So this is how you loop through the list too. Okay, not forget about this append either. If you have to do any calculations, right? Say for example, you have numbers equal to you have a score like this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all. Okay. Now you have to do some operations. Say you have to multiply this number by 2. Okay, multiply this number by 2. How do you do that? So one way to do is, there are many ways to do. One way to do is you loop through the list for I in range of length of number. What do you want? What are we doing? I'm telling number of multiplied by 2. Okay. So is this correct? Can anyone explain what I did here? Is that correct, wrong, or what am I trying to do? So what I'm doing is I have a list here. Okay, I have a list called number. Number is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, can you guys run this program and tell me the output? Can you open the collab and run and tell me the output? Let's see who tells that correct. You guys want to try? Okay, Sami, good job. Did anyone else try? I hope you tried in collab, not just multiplied as such. Yes. So now what happens for every number that got iterated? So this list has now become, it's getting multiplied by 2, and the same value is stored in that same index position. So the first time it will be 0. So the number 0, whatever is the number 0 is what? 1. So 1 multiplied by 2 will now be stored in the index 0. Okay, so the whole list will now become 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so this is how you can fetch the numbers and you can calculate different values for it. So I'll give you one more question. So let's see who does that. Okay. So can you guys do this? So let's say I have this, okay? So I have this number 1 list is like this. 1, 2, and 3. Number 2 is 10, 20, and 30. So can I get a new list? Okay, new list. I want the values to be like this. So like this. So how do you do that? Can you guys try it out? So what do you do to get this output? So I have given you 2 lists. Now I need the new list to look like this. So what do you do to get this? Anyone? Did anyone try? Good job. So you used, what is that operator called? Overshot. Okay, so you guys are using a plus operator, so that does the join. Okay, you could do the append as well. Yes, you could do append. Okay, I see everyone posting the syntaxes correctly. Good job.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So for the one before where you said for I in range, the one before we did for num1, I got a weird response. I got 4 different lists, 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4, and like the numbers are kind of random.
For this example that I'm showing, number equal to 1.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you post your code in the chat?
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's try it out. Okay, so this is how your code is, correct?
Yes.
So you're getting like this.
Yes.
So why did you get that? So what happens is your print statement. So where is your print statement? Your print statement is within the for block, correct?
Yes.
So now what you are seeing is you're seeing how the list changes every single time. Okay. The first time you come in, the before you come in, the number is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
The first time for it 5 values 0. So now you are talking about first element. So 1. It multiplied by 2 and it changed it to 2. So when you did print, now the list looks like 2, 2, 3, 4 because these elements are not acted upon yet. Okay.
Oh, I get it.
Okay, so since you did it in this, so you are seeing the change one by one. So first, the index 0 changed. Now index 1 changed. Index 2 changed. Index 4 changed. So what I did is I printed it after the for loop is finished. I didn't print for every single iteration. I let the iteration happen and printed the end result. So what you
Okay.
are
I tried it and I got it now.
good. So the indentation matters. But good try.
Can you also change it from number I to number I? Print to number I?
Where here?
Yeah, but keep it in the for loop.
Mm-hmm. Print number I like this. Okay. So what this does is it's just showing you what happened. What's the new value for that particular index.
Okay.
Okay. If you need to know what index you're currently iterating, right? You could do this. If you do comma I, right? So that will tell you this is the 0th index value. Now this is first index, second index, third index. Okay. So that way you can see which index the value is currently going through. You could do that too. Yeah, I'll give you guys one more example to try.
Is there a way to populate the?
Sorry, is there a way to?
Yeah. So like we showed 2468. So beside that, if you want to see the first initial value, can we also write like 1, 2, 3, 4?
You mean before changing, I need to change the original value first?
No, after changing when you're printing it out, I want to see both the changed one and the initial version, both of them.
I'm pretty sure after the print number I, you print number, like after the print number I, but and replace the I with number.
Number like this.
Yeah, the variable number.
It'll still
Oh, because
show the new value, because see what you're doing here, no? You are multiplying the number and you're assigning the value to the same list, right? So you are actually changing the value as it is. So the list is now getting modified. That's what's happening here. So as it loops through, the list is getting modified. This number will now become 2468. You cannot see the after value. If you need to do that, right, you could create a new list. Okay, I'm creating a new list, empty list like that. So now I'm assigning these new values to number 2.
Couldn't you create a new list with the original, with the values?
You mean here? Yeah, you could do that, but anyways, I'm changing, right? So why do I have to have a value? Correct?
Okay.
I want to store a new result here. There is no point in having it here. It's nothing wrong, but I know beforehand itself, I know this list is used to store the results, right? So I don't have to have a value. Okay. So now,
like you can create another list with the new values, so then you can print both the old and new.
okay, so you can have it like this. So now you're just, this whole number is nothing but a number, what you had from the original value, and you're just changing the number 2 here. You're multiplying this by 2 and storing it here. So you get both the values here.
Okay.
You could also just append to the second array instead of setting it to number 2I. You could just append it.
You could do that too, yes. Because if the list is empty, you could just do an append, right?
Yeah.
You could. Okay, I have another question in the chat. Let's see that. Okay. When I do score, okay. So let's see this example. Okay. So num1 is 1, 2, 3, num2 is 10, 20, 30. So num1 dot append of num2. So what is the output? So what is happening here? Can anyone else explain? What would be the output? What's happening with this append statement now?
Output would be like the both sequence, like both lists combined, like 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 30.
10, 20, 30.
No, because see, append will append the whole value at the end. Okay, so this value num2, what I'm telling is I'm appending this value num2 to num1. Okay, so num2 is nothing but a list, so it will append the whole list inside of num1. So now num1 will have a 4th index or the 3rd index, 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever you call it. So 4th item, that 4th item will be another list. Okay, so in Python, list can have a list inside of it. Okay, so when you use this append, it appends the whole item. So if you want an individual item of this list to be used, you have to use the for loop. You have to iterate, get 10, 20, 30 individually, and then append it. You have to do this for I in range of length of num2, right? So now you tell append num2 of I. Correct? Okay. So yeah, now I'm telling, just getting that num2 first element. I'm getting every element one by one, and then I'm doing an append statement.
A small question.
Sure.
Yeah. So first, suppose there's only num1 which has 1, 2, 3 values, and then I have another variable called x, and it has the value of 5, and then a variable y, it has a value of 6. So how do you like append a variable x and y into num1?
You have x equal to
5 and y equal to 6. Anything.
Y equal to 6. So now you want this 5 and 6 to be appended to num1.
Yes.
Now you can do that. So whatever she did, right? So num1 dot append x, it will append. Not append.
You have to add a D.
Can't we do both at once?
Can you do both at once? I'm not sure. Yeah, cannot. Append, it takes only one.
So first we add.
You
So
have to do
first we append x and then append y.
yes, then you have to do append of y. So now
Oh,
you
okay.
add it. Now print it. Since you're just the straight element, right? So you could just add it. Remember, you could also do this. So you could simply say num1 dot append 7. Will it take? You could simply add it. So the append, whatever you pass in, it will go on. Okay, if it's a number, it will go. If it's a variable, it will take the value and add it. You could add a string. So append is used for that. You don't have to even have an XY value. You could simply say 7, then you could tell 8 and all. It just keeps adding at the end. Append just adds whatever you pass to the end of the list.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm just checking this chat to see if there are any other questions. Okay, so if there is no other questions, there's only one thing I want to talk about. Okay, so I want to show this. So there are no questions. So one last slide that I have is okay. So these are some of the list methods that we have. Okay, so we have talked about append. So whatever you pass on the append, it will add to the end of the list. So clear, it just removes all the elements. It empties the list. Okay, the definition is still there, but the list is completely gone. The values are gone. So copy, it just copies from one list to another. So count, what does count does is it returns the number of elements with the value. It counts, it tells you how many. Sorry. So count just returns the number of elements with the value. Extend, we have already seen it, right? It adds the values to the end of the list. Index will tell you which index you're working on. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or I, whatever we use it. Insert will insert at a specified position. Pop, it removes the elements. Remove also removes the elements, but whatever value you give, it will just take it off. There's one more function called reverse. Okay, so what it does is it reverses the order of the list. Okay, then we have sort. Sort is nothing but sorting. So the sorting, we will talk about it in detail in next class. But these are some of the list methods that we have seen in today's class. One thing that I wanted to discuss is the quiz questions. Let me check one thing. So did everyone finish quiz? Did anyone get to finish? Who joined late or anyone? Okay, so looks like everyone has finished question. So do you guys want to discuss? Do you have any questions on the quiz questions? Or everyone is clear and everyone is 10 out of 10?
I got a mistake. I did not know on which one I got a mistake. So
okay, so let me open that. So let's quickly, just for sake of it, and I'll open it. Okay. So first question we have is so I'm presenting the question, okay? So who you guys can unmute yourself and tell me the answer, okay? So the first question is which is the comment? So which symbol is comment? I think everyone would have got that clearly, correct? Which is comment?
It is D.
D.
Okay, good job. The next one is which of the following will cause an error?
B.
B.
D.
B.
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 Why? Why? Any reason?
because I think it's like we're not assigning x value as 17. It's the reverse order, so it does not take it like that.
Because 17 is not a variable name, right? A variable name cannot start with the number. 17 system does not recognize 17 as a variable. Okay, that's the reason. The third one. So in the expression 12 plus 7, the value of the values on the right and left of the plus symbol are common.
Can I leave now, Winkle? I need to head out for an appointment. That's right.
Sure.
I need to head out.
Okay, so the expression 12 plus 7, so what is it called?
A operands.
Operator.
Okay, what is plus then?
Plus is operator.
Operator.
Good job. The fourth question. So this is an operator that raises a number to a power.
C.
Okay, what is A? What is A?
A is modulus.
Is modulus that gives you the reminder. So B is multiplication, C is exponential, D is division. Okay. The fifth one, which built-in function can be used to read input that has been typed on the keyboard?
A.
Input. So each repetition of yes, A is the correct answer. Okay. So question number 6. Each repetition of a loop is known as
D.
the iteration. Okay. Number 7. Dash loop has no way of ending and repeats until the program is interrupted.
C.
C.
C. That's
excuse me.
C is the correct.
I need to leave for an appointment. So
Sure, you can. So we are going to just discuss about homework and about it. Yeah, you could respond.
okay. So thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. So 7 is infinite and 8. What is the incorrect naming convention?
B.
D.
B or D?
B.
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 B. Okay. So because it cannot start with a number, it can start with underscore. Okay. So did someone get wrong? Did someone answer underscore? Did someone did D?
Yeah.
So remember, you could have a variable name that starts with an underscore. Okay. So for 9, in a for loop, how to stop the current iteration and go to next loop?
Continue.
C. Continue.
Continue. So what is break?
It stops the
Break is stopping
iteration.
Yeah.
Stops the iteration. It exits the whole for loop. Yeah. Continue just stops the current iteration. Good job, guys. The last one, range function returns what? It starts from dash by default and increments by dash by default.
B.
B.
0, 1.
Okay, it starts by 0 and increments by 1, right? So what if you want to increment by 2? Have you guys tried that? A for loop, if you want to increment by 2, what do you do?
You add a third number after the first two, like with the number you want to increment by.
Exactly. So you'll have to specify for, I'm not sure if I've told you this, but so in range of, so I want to start this number from 1 and go until 20, but I want to increment it by 2. Okay. So what happened? So it
incremented by 2.
Incremented by 2. Okay. Very good. So you'll have to specify the increment. If you don't specify this value, it's 1 always by default. Okay. All right, guys. So I think we have covered everything for this week. So we will be publishing the homework, and if you guys have missed this at the very beginning, so homework we need it as a Word document. Okay, I need this code copy pasted. This code, right click, copy cell, paste it, then copy your output, then paste it in a Word document, then convert it as a PDF. Also, you give the collab link. Okay, go here, share, go to your collab, make it a share, do a git link. So if you have not set this right, so change it to make sure that anyone with the link is selected. Make sure you set this property, then copy link and paste it in the Word doc. Then make it as PDF and upload it. Okay. So if you guys don't do that, if the homework is not submitted in correct format, you guys would be given less marks or sometimes 0 too. And if you guys don't, if you don't submit the homework for 2 sessions, you would be automatically dropped from the class. And if you don't come for 2 sessions, you would be automatically dropped from the class also. Okay. So make sure you guys join, make sure you submit the homework. So for the next time, the homework is due on, I think next Tuesday, right? September 7th. Okay. So I'll just show you the homework for this week. So I'll just explain what the homework is. So can you guys see my screen? So this is the homework for the next class, okay? So I'll not discuss the solutions here, okay? Please don't paste chat. I'll just go through the questions. If there are any questions regarding the question, I'll be clarifying that. Okay? So the first question is write a program to find the number of vowels in the word. This is the word. I need you to find out how many vowels are there in this word. Okay? So the second question I have given you a list. Okay? I need to find out a cube for every single list item. The third one is consider the list A list 1 and A list 2. I want the list to print in the same order. I want this first list to be printed in the same order and the second list in the reverse order. I want this to be printed in the reverse order. Then fourth question is, a list is Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Roger, and Mike. Add item neon after Roger. I need the item neon after Roger. So I need you to add that. Okay. Then I have given you this A list 1 and A list 2. I want you to remove all this empty list, what the empty values, and then merge both the lists together. I want it to be printed as a one single new list. So these are the 5 questions we have. So I've already gone through the steps to submit. Like I said, make the coding and testing in Collab, put it in the MS Word, convert it into PDF. Then when you upload, can you please make sure you are selecting the fall session data science class in the drop down. Choose the drop down correctly because it's going into separate different folder and it's getting harder. Okay, make sure you select the correct session, or if you're attending multiple classes, make sure you select the correct one. And the homework is due next Tuesday, September 7th. So we will not accept the late homeworks, and homework without code or output or collab link will also be given 0 marks. So any other question for the class or from the last week class, whoever has question, we could discuss now. Otherwise, you guys can drop off. Thank you so much for attending this class. For any questions, we could hang on. You could ask.
So for the homework, we need to add comments, right, to explain the.
Yes, comments. Yes, that's all. That's part of it, programming. Okay, so the comments has to be there so that it gets marked. Without the comments, it's very hard for us to understand. So you will be great at this. Okay, comments is very important. Every time you write a program, comments is needed. Okay. So we have Prince, Sugita, and Aditya who got 10 out of 10 on the quiz. So good job, guys. Okay, Prince, you have a question. I'll just answer your question. Okay, just give me a second. Anyone else have any other? Okay, on homework we have like Varsha, Aditya, Sugirta, Abhishai, Sandhi, Rohan, Likita, Kavya, and Elric. So all of you, these folks have got 100% in your homework. So good job, guys. You guys have submitted an awesome homework. Very good. And for the rest of you, please upload your homework and make sure you get your get everything correct. Okay, if there is nothing else, that would be for now. Okay, Prince, 1 second, I'll get your question copied. Okay.
Thank you, Partha.
So I have a question from Prince. I'm just going to show that. So if you guys want to hang out. Okay, what's going wrong here, Prince?
When I'm running it, can you like run it?
Type of k equal to string. Okay.
When I'm running it, I still have like some strings inside, and I'm not sure why they're still there.
Like equal type of k equal to string. Copy okay. Oh, let's do this. So where is life and where is pi? See, so this life and pi is still there, right? Not even coming into the loop. Why? Again, list copy. Orange 960. I think you have to do this. You have to iterate. The iterate has to happen for the list, right? So if you give like this, does it work? Okay. So what you are doing is you have to access that element by index, right? Friends. Friends, you there?
Oh, I'm muted. Sorry.
Okay. So you have to access the index by its range, right? So you have to you're checking for value k, but here in this case it's not getting the values correctly. So you have to go. So what you could do is like you could access the indexes. Okay. So list copy of k will now actually have the value. Okay, what did I do? Not on the list. Where did I give x? Oh, you're giving the value range, right? So now you'll have to give it, you'll have to use the delete or other method to remove from the range. If it's straight into the same element ranges, then I think it will work. For this, you'll have to give it like that. Can you try and let me know if it doesn't work? Okay. So try using index ranges and see how that goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. So all right.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much for the class. So see you again in 2 weeks. So bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. If you have any questions, you can email info@agoramatrico.org or comment below and we'll reply back. Maybe. And if you want to see practice things or anything about us, you can visit our website, which is basically the end of the email, but without the info and the end. So